Maple Love family, how you all doing? I'm in the polytunnel. This is going to be a video showing you how I go through my grafting process in the winter time. So it's one that's been requested, so here it is. I'm going to start off just by talking my whole process through before I show a couple of examples. I've got 2 rootstock here. I'm going to do 2 grafts. I will have to pause the video and carry on because I'm using my hands, so I'll do the best I can to make things as clear as possible. Here I have a graft that I did pretty much this time last year. Look, Christmas Eve I did that. It's a Will's Divine, and this is basically going to show you how it's going to look, if it will focus. So this is how the union heals over in time, and it does. In years to come it will get better. As this grows into a bigger tree, it will blend. So that is how Will's Divine looks a year on after being grafted. And it started off, well, here it is, you got about a foot of growth on that, and it started off like this, which is less than half the size. So yes, I'll talk through everything from beginning to end, and then I'll start the process. So if you're anything like how I was in the beginning, then you probably find yourself overthinking it and making the process more difficult than it needs to be. Best thing I did was think, fuck it, I'm going to do it anyway and see what happens. And it got to a point after many failures that well, I noticed I had very little success. I thought to myself, I don't actually care anymore. Not in a way that I lost interest, but in a way that helped me to let go of the outcome. I was too focused on getting everything right, and that's not always going to happen, especially with propagation. So the moment I stopped thinking too much about how it was supposed to be done was the moment I started getting more success. So don't get me wrong, I still have a lot of grafts that fail, and that's all part of the game. Nature will always do its thing and humble you from time to time, and you'll sit there thinking, well, where did I go wrong? I thought I did everything the right way it was supposed to be done. So my advice is to keep going without holding any attachment to the outcome. It will be what it will be. Just let nature do its thing, and I am certain you'll have more success that way. So before any cuts are made for scion and rootstock, you need to make sure you're using a fairly vigorous rootstock. So these are seedlings that I grew on from this spring. They're very healthy, they've been nurtured, they got a good root system, and they're of good size. This one on the right is on the thinner side. It is borderline too thin, but I will work with that. We'll improvise. I've just got to be more careful when I do the cut, so I don't go straight through the whole branch, or the whole trunk even. So yeah, so the rootstock you'll use is like a Acer palmatum. You don't want the rootstock to be soaking wet when doing the graft, otherwise what can happen, but not always, is the graft union can swell and the scion can become dislodged from the union because of the excess flow of sap. You'll still get takes if the rootstock is more on the moist side, but your odds of success are just better if the rootstock is less wet. If you see white roots, then that's perfect. And then I have everything clean and sterile at all times, even when making cuts. Like, I keep on wiping the tools in between. I wipe the rootstock and the scion wood as well. And as you can see, I lay everything on a paper towel rather directly on a dirty surface. So as you can see on the paper towel, I've got a pair of pruning scissors, my wedged grafting knife, some rubber bands, which I've even wiped the rubber bands as well. I've got a wooden block, this wedged wooden block, and there's the scissors, and I've got my Sharpie to label the labels, which I've already done there, so they're already pre-done, just to save, or pre-made to save some time. So yeah, once everything is set up and prepped, it's time to make the cuts pretty much. Now if the rootstock is on the wetter side, then you need to cut the top of the rootstock to allow any excess sap flow to exit the tree. If not, it can end up pushing the scion off the rootstock, causing the cambiums to become misaligned. So I'd make a cut. I'll cut this top node off here, and same with this one. And then using the wedged grafting knife to cut the rootstock and the scion. Oh, bear with me. Sorry, someone's trying to call me. Apologies there. Someone was trying to call me. Lost my flow. So using the wedged grafting knife to cut the rootstock and the scion allows you to make cuts that almostly perfectly in line, which contributes to far better cambium to cambium contact. So for those that don't know, the cambium layer is a thin layer of cells on the outer perimeter of the wood. I haven't made any cuts yet, but I will show you, as I'm just to go and explain everything. So yeah, on the outer perimeter of the wood on the tree, where the flow of sap and nutrition flows around the tree. This is where the tree also heals and bonds wounds by callousing. Basically, it's the tree's version of forming a scab, just like our skin would if we were to cut ourselves. The cambium layer appears as a thin green line on the outer edge of the cut, so both cambiums on rootstock and scion need to be aligned and matched. It's important you push the scion wedge all the way down into the pocket, leaving no gaps. So the lowest point is the first part to start healing, as that's where the sap flow begins. So once the scion is aligned in the pocket, I wrap it from bottom upwards, then back down with the rubber band to tie it off at the bottom. I still find this part the trickiest, to be honest. I haven't got that quick at doing that part. I still take my time when I do that bit. And always labelled cultivar so you don't forget what you have grafted as well. Then it's time for the next important phase, the aftercare. So the aftercare and healing of the graft union is the most crucial part. This is where most grafts succeed or fail. So slight humidity is beneficial to the speed of the healing, but too much will introduce bacteria and risk infection to the graft. So airflow is important. It's a delicate balance, but this is the part that used to stress me out the most. I used to get carried away thinking to myself the grafts were going to take because I made really good cuts, but I was humbled many times. The race isn't done just yet. You're not even out of the woods. On average, if required, post-care conditions are met. Oh, sorry, someone's trying to call me again. Back, not having much luck while I'm trying to do this video. It's not the most professional video, but all the information's here that you'll need anyway. So I was saying, on average, if all the post-care conditions are met, the union should take about 2 weeks to heal. And you want to keep temperatures steady and consistent between 16 and 20 degrees Celsius. And after 3 weeks, if your graft is still alive, keep it away from really low temperatures, like no drafts or anything like that. Just keep it in a stable environment until spring arrives, and then slowly introduce it to the natural outer climate. If you got to that point, then congratulations, you did it. So that is pretty much the process, and that's how I've been doing it. In I'll say up to last year, I've been doing things slightly different over the last three years. I've only been doing grafting for about 3 years, but the numbers and percentages of success are slowly getting better and better. So it's just a matter of doing it. Don't worry if you're gonna fail, because it's gonna happen. That's inevitable. Just do it anyway. Right, so I'm gonna start with this one. This is a Scolopendrifolium seedling that came through in spring this year. I'm gonna graft the rainbow to this. I chose this one because it's got a slightly red trunk, just as the rainbow does, so it'd be nice to kind of match it so it blends. And there you go. Yeah, see, you can see I picked a branch on the rainbow that has that pink stripe. That means it's gonna have good variegation. If I chose a branch that didn't have the pink stripe, there's a chance it wouldn't have much variegation, if any at all. So that's another tip when grafting variegated cultivars. You want to pick the branches that have that kind of striping, the pink stripe. Struggling to get a focus here, but yeah, you've seen it anyway. And the wood that I've chosen is not floppy, it's quite stiff, so it's semi-hard wood, I'd say. And then this top part, that is really bendable, and it won't snap if you was to bend it. On the other hand, on this part, if I was to overbend it, it would snap. That's the kind of consistency that you want for grafting. Okay, so I'm going to pause it. I'm going to make the cut on the rootstock. I'm going to do the wedge cut as well on the scion, and I'll show you the cuts and the cambiums if the focus allows me. Okay, here is the cut that I've done on the rainbow. You can see the outer line, it's like a greenish outer line just underneath the red. So that is the cambium layer. It's quite faint on this one. Some you can see more than others, but there is a line, like a little ring that goes around. And then I've created the pocket on this tree, on this rootstock. There you go, kind of see on that. Then my plan is, because these have been cut with the, that's another thing I was going to show you, because they've been cut with this grafting knife, there is an angled wedge on it. So the same angle that I've cut this with is the same, exact same angle that I've done on here, so they should match up almost perfectly. and then I want to push this as far down as it allows me to go into that pocket, like that, and just get it as aligned perfectly to one side as you can. You won't align both sides. Not, yeah, I thought I nearly might have done it on this one. You only achieve that if the thickness is the exact same on the rootstock and the scion. But yeah, normally you just go to one side, so I've gone to the right for this one. Okay, I'm just going to pause it. Okay, that's been tied. That's been tied on. I'm just going to cut that off because this is on the moist side, so that little cut on the top will allow any excess sap to flow out of there. Let me get so I'm keeping the tag of the rootstock of the seed that it came from. Why not? And here is the graft tag, so that's a rainbow. And that's that one done, and that's going to go into the conservatory at a steady temperature, as I said, between 16 and 20 degrees Celsius. Within 3 weeks I'll know for sure if this is taken or not, and then yeah, come spring, slowly start introducing it to the outside climate. So that can go on there, and then we're on to this one. I have already wiped these all down when I paused the video, so I am cleaning my tools in between, don't worry about that. So yep, I'm going to cut this probably about there. And here's another thing I'm doing, any offcuts I'm keeping here, I'm feeding the slugs and snails as much as I can. I'm just trying to distract them from attacking my seedlings. It seems to be working okay so far. So the lettuce has been eaten in some places, so it could be working alright. Okay, I'm going to pause it again and make my cuts. I managed to do the cut just about right on this one because it was on the thinner side. So don't know if you can make out the cambium. There you go, I think you can see it there. That green edge, and you can see there, that's what we want to match up to. Okay, then I've got to cut the scion now. And here is the Peve multicolour. So what I want to do is get this, one second, I want to get this right in there. As I said, as far down as possible so there's no gap. There you go. And then just make sure it's lined up on one side. This one, I might be able to achieve both sides with this one. I'll pause it. I mean, I'm not that good I can do it one-handed yet. Yes, I think I've pretty much got both sides aligned with this one. And this green, there's a bit of green that's showing on the scion where I've cut it. That will heal, that doesn't matter. It's not the end of the world if it's revealing a bit of the cut on the scion like that. It's fine. Okay. The one problem I might have with wrapping this is because the cut's quite close to the top of this, it's really tricky to wrap the rubber band around on the lower portion, but we'll give it a go. You understand what I mean when you're in this situation, I'm sure. And there it is. Yeah, that was really tricky because you have to wrap back downwards with the rubber band towards the bottom where you started, because it helps when tying the knot. If you try and do it up there, it doesn't work the best. So you want to wrap back down so you can get a clean knot so the band doesn't move. But we got it done. So this was from a Chitose seedling. That's that rootstock. And then we've got Peve multicolour, dated with today, the day it was grafted. And that's the two grafts. I hope you've enjoyed the video. I'll try and get more detailed videos going in the future. Yeah, I'm still finding newer and better ways to do things myself, but it's all a process. If you've got any questions, as always, leave your comments. I'll get back to you as soon as I can. And yeah, other than that, have a wonderful rest of your day. Take care. See you on the next one.